wide open ramp that's an entrance, and even then, look at how far away the second base is from the ordinary entrance to that third. We are seeing, oh, it looks like a contaminate. Ooh.
Love to see that.
It is ROOTDestiny playing, isn't it?
Now, you talked about how hard it is to actually get a third on this base, and that's one of the things that when I was talking with In Control and Tyler about this map, that's what they were saying. In this EVP matchup, it's so hard for the Protoss to actually take a third because eventually the Zerg will just have the entire map on his part of the map, and there's really nothing you can do because if you leave, you're just going to get attacked constantly, and the constant aggression eventually from the Zerg as the game progresses forward, it's just going to be too much to handle. But it looks like ReSpOnSe is going to try to actually take his third.
Yeah, easiest technique when you're having trouble taking a third is just to close your eyes and do it.
Yep.
Hope for the best. And there's the contaminate again.
Man.
Destiny, man. So cool. You know, actually, to make him feel a little bit more comfortable in this series, they allowed him to log onto Ventrilo and chat while streaming it, with Celawera being funny throughout the entire period. So let's see if that works out for him. We see Destiny also trying to advance forward with the Roach. It's not
They're going to let it 1v1 here for Valor.
Ugh. Looks like it will be pulling back.
Yeah, it looks like ReSpOnSe is going to kind of sit on that Xel'Naga tower. Destiny might be thinking of moving out here as the creep tumors have advanced about the halfway point of the map. ReSpOnSe is pretty steady. He's going to use Hallucination again to scout ahead with that Phoenix. It looks like Destiny's actually moving forward here, and it's going to be really hard because he can't actually retreat once those Hydras are committed to attacking. They are so slow off the creep.
So it looks like Destiny is pulling into a great position. Notice how cut off ReSpOnSe is from his natural expansion where there's a lone Colossus defending. That's going to be pretty difficult to defend if Destiny does decide to push, but no. Looks like he is pulling back, and as usual, we're seeing the Hive coming up in a minute once that infestation pit comes down, and a fourth base going up for Destiny.
Looks like dual upgrades about to finish for rank 1 for his range units, and if we go back over to the base of ReSpOnSe, let's check out to see what he's doing. He's just going to continue getting his weapon upgrades and also adding on Colossus, which is pretty typical right now. You're just going to eventually see that death ball that is so often used in this matchup.
This is a real problem for Destiny, though. I'm actually going to go to his vision to see if he has any idea about this. Well, he does, but still, I'm a little bothered at the fact that Destiny did not try aggressively enough to pick that off, instead just stockpiling up here by the Xel'Naga Watchtower.
Corruptors are just now beginning to pop out, and a ton of Sunkens actually being put down. Where are those
Sunken colonies, God bless you. Oh, no, they're spine crawlers. Oh.
Well,
I was hoping Sunken colonies. That is far and away the best defensive structure in any strategy game ever made. Overseer now popping by the Xel'Naga Watchtower just to make sure there's no pesky observers hanging out there in the meantime. But Destiny's not going to have a good chance to saturate this expansion because, as we can see, he's very, very close to that max point. Going to be taking out these destructible debris, continuing to control those watchtowers. But ReSpOnSe, I think, doing a very smart play. He is just going to deal with an only max army. He does not want to engage his opponent any sooner, taking the gold as well.
Now let's pop open the unit tab and check to see how many drones. Destiny's currently hiding at 69 drones right now.
And now we have LGReSpOnSe moving through the center of the map. It looks like he's going to possibly hit this at a good angle, but Destiny is careful to engage that. He really doesn't want to until he has some sort of power unit. We see the Hive's only half done. Uh-oh. And ReSpOnSe, oh, that's the best part about that super early hallucinate. You can continue to pop in there again and again and again and keep tabs on when that Hive tech is coming out. We see ReSpOnSe continuing to keep that base saturated. Little things like this is what I love about ReSpOnSe's play, walling this off for any late-game Zergling counterattack. We see that it looks like the +2 weapons is very nearly done, continuing to churn out of a ton of gateways. And ReSpOnSe, again, making some nice walls with his buildings.
Destiny looks like he is wanting to attack now as both armies are about 10 supply short of being capped. And here comes Destiny's armies are kind of split, though, because of that little area of the map right there that Sean just highlighted. And Destiny is going to be falling back as he has seen the death ball of the army, and actually, there's not really that many Colossus in there, honestly.
This is kind of similar to what Kiwikaki did against Idra, where he made just a few Colossi and then immediately backed off. And, ooh, looks like blinks up, kills off that Overseer. 2-2 almost done. Very smart play by Destiny to attack after that ends up finishing, because if he attacked before, he would be dead with 2-2 upgrades.
Now, if we look at the resources of Destiny, he's currently at 400 or 4,500, excuse me, and 780 gas. He might just be building up larva and then going ahead and attacking and then getting an army immediately back out to attack this. And as I'm saying, that looks like Response is going to engage here, sniping some prefab. So here we go.
Oh, there's some huge force fields going down, just ripping apart that front army. We see that the Greater Spire is about 60% done, and there's some more Guardian Shields going down. Some great force fields Response. Hallucinating Colossi in the back, but the vulnerable real Colossi are way up at the front. But it looks like Destiny's starting to win the battle at the southern side, as there are more units continuing to get caught on the other side of the force fields. And look at this, 10 Hydras, 12 Roaches trying to pop out. And as usual, the Max Protoss army a little bit too much for the Zerg to deal with, and the Greater Spire's right there. Oh no. And all of these Corruptors are going to have to pull back and morph into Broodlords, but no, there's the Greater Spire just sitting there so vulnerable. More units get picked off. Response is in an amazing spot.
I love the fact that 2 Immortals somehow work their way into that army. It really, really helps in that huge army fight, as Immortals oftentimes do just destroy Roaches. And he hasn't actually touched that Greater Spire. He's actually defending it somewhat right now, just circling all of the units around it, trying to get rid of all those Hydras. But Destiny might still be in this, as he has gotten units on all sides of Response. No force fields being down, but the Greater Spire does indeed go down. He's going to blink his remaining Stalkers out and try to get an army back up, as this game is far from over, Sean.
I'm a little surprised. Oh, it looks like Response is actually either trying to do a counterattack or has the most accidental unit control ever. Looks like he waltzed his way all the way to pick down 1 Roach, and is going to end up losing a couple of Stalkers, but thanks to that blink, is popping away. I'm actually very shocked that Destiny is still alive. Response continue to try to do damage to that Greater Spire. I don't know if that was the best idea, because, I mean, if you think about it, even if Zerg does end up holding off the attack, he's broke, and more pressure from Zerg is going to easily deal with any sort of Broodlords. But it looks like Destiny having a weirdly large amount of units coming right forward, using those Corruptors to pick off that Colossus. Hydralisk at the top, picking apart the Zealots, but Response just has too many Stalkers on the field.
And this is what I was talking about, how it's so open in the middle that Zerg can really attack from all sides. Even though Response is actually defended against that quite well, we see a handful of units popping out for Destiny, and Response actually has a pretty big Blink Stalker army right now. He might go on the aggressive right here.
We do see a lot of Zerglings and Roaches getting produced for Destiny, and now he's finally getting those 3/3 upgrades. Should be very careful to engage. Make sure those are both done. Looks like the Hydralisks are popping out from the 4th base. Again, still not really a good saturation down there. Looks like Destiny's continuing to mass up at the top, but here comes Response with a big amount of Stalkers.
And looks like he is going to engage this base of Destiny. If he could take this out, it will be great for Response. And here comes the forces of Destiny. A couple of Links pop out, but they're running into their worst enemy, the Colossus, as well as some Void Rays. Destiny looking really bad right here, as there's really just not enough units to deal with this force of Response.
And if we look at the unit counting station, down on drones, down on all kinds of units, Response is in a winning position, and there's the GG. Response does take game 1 against the very popular Stephen Bonnell II.
So, Sean, let's go ahead and get that second game
That's
up
right.
and running, because if you are just now joining us, we are casting replays. We still have not figured out exactly how to solve this huge issue that's been going on all day, but they are working furiously. We see people just running constantly back and forth here, trying to fix it.
People are literally on fire, and they're not even trying to put themselves out. They're just trying to make sure the internet stays as connected as possible. So we'll be going into game 2 in just a moment. But JP, what did you think about that last game?
Well, it kind of went how I thought it would. I mean, it actually went almost like any other ZVP out there. We saw Destiny stick to what Zs usually do, getting their Roaches up, getting those Hydras, and then getting eventually the Corruptors out, and the Protoss just doing the 3-gate expand with sentries, even though he did have one of his gas stole in the early parts of that game, but he just kind of went on like it didn't even happen.
Yeah, and you know, I really think that I mean, Destiny kind of had to do a little bit more aggression in that middle part of the game, right as he was taking the 3rd.
Exactly.
I mean, he went up and was like, oh,
he saw it.
Does Protoss have an army? Okay, that's fine. You can have the expansion.
He might have been a little bit scared because his creep wasn't that far across the map. He didn't want to engage with all of his Hydras, because he would have probably lost them eventually, and he can't really retreat because they're off creep.
And I do think that, again, that's a great example of why Zergs need to be really favoring a lot of counter-aggression, because as you saw at that natural expansion, Response had exactly 1 Colossus, and that's it. If you just run a couple of Speed Zerglings in there, there's nothing that Protoss can really do about it, unless he wants to build a whole bunch of cannons to defend, and then all of a sudden Protoss' army is slower and is smaller. But it looks like Destiny's choice of map will be Metalopolis.